Hi, Robert. I recently purchased a Belgian Malinois 2 months ago, and he just turned 9 months recently. Ever since I got him, he has always been aggressive toward my sister. If she speaks, he barks. If he sees her, he's ready to attack her, all the time. And nothing but aggressive towards her, growling, etc. He sees her every day, and I don't understand the problem he has with her. Can I have some advice to solve the situation? ASAP. ASAP is always a really tricky thing because I don't get to these for months. So if you have an ASAP issue, you need to find a different way to do this because I don't ASAP on these Ask Me Anything questions. I just feel like he's getting more and more aggressive towards her every day. Thanks in advance. So Maria, the question here is going to really be, how much do you love your sister and how much do you love the dog? Because if you, and how much do you love living with your sister? Is your sister living with you, right? But if a 9-month-old dog is showing aggression towards a person, and then that person happens to be a woman, I would be concerned, right? Because she's not really putting any pressure on the dog. She's not threatening to the dog. She's not doing anything to the dog that I would think would be dangerous or that the dog should perceive as dangerous. So that concerns me because the dog should be neutral to people. How much training have you done with this dog? How familiar are you with a high drive dog like a Malinois? What made you get a Malinois? Why, are you asking me this question? It should be, some basic sources you should be able to go to. Most importantly would be the breeder of this dog. I would want to know, because you said you got a dog 2 months ago, right? And he just turned 9 months recently. So that means the dog was 7 months old when you got the dog. Where did you get this dog? Hopefully you didn't get it off from some just backyard breeder who just pawned it off because they didn't want it anymore, because most dogs are sold at 8 weeks old, at 2 months old. So if you've got it at 7 months old, was it a holdback? Was it a return? Was there something wrong with the dog? Why somebody else returned it? Did it try to bite somebody else? I don't know the answers to these questions. These are questions that you need to investigate before you get a dog. But I would tell you that before you get too attached to this dog, you need to find out why this dog is doing this. Is this dog doing this to other people? Is this dog a dangerous dog? Because it's not going to get any better, right? Unless you can get to the root of the problem and start training, start socializing this dog and giving the dog the structured training the dog needs to understand how to be safe in life and how to live a happy life, it's not going to get any better. So if you love your sister, you're going to really need to keep this dog away from your sister so she doesn't get bit. And in the meantime, you need to start training this dog so that the dog can be a social dog and can be around other people, because a dog that bites, especially a bigger dog that bites, is a liability. It's very, very dangerous. It could really hurt your sister. And especially if your sister has done nothing wrong, and even if she has done something wrong, it's still not right that your dog bites her. Is it normal I talk to my dog? My family thinks it's weird, but I can tell by the look on his face that the dog wants me to communicate with him. He's happy when I talk to him. When I don't, the dog looks sad. I think communicating with your dog is essential because it creates a bond. For example, if your dog is scared and needs reassurance, you need to talk to him to reassure him. How can you do that without talking to him? I think you're just answering your own questions as we're going here, James. I think it would be weird if me and my dog both lived in silence without communicating to each other. That wouldn't be normal. I mean, James, you asked me a question, but then you answered it. It's a one-sentence question and a paragraph of answers. So I don't know if anybody's ever told you not to talk to your dog. I mean, I talk to my dog. I tell him to come. I tell him to be quiet. I tell him I love him. I tell him I'm a good boy. I mean, I don't have conversations with my dog. I have conversations with my partner, with Janet. We talk all the time. But the one thing you have to understand is that because your dog is not talking back, you can talk to your dog, but you can't have a conversation with your dog. So the difference between talking to your dog and talking with your dog is what I think you need to make the differentiation. So if you have a conversation with your dog, I would be concerned. But if you're talking to your dog, I would think that's very good, because you talk to him, you give him obedience commands, you tell him you love him, you tell him, hey, good boy. And even if he doesn't necessarily answer, remember, you're talking to him. You're not having a conversation with him. That would be weird. Got a question? I have a 1.5-year-old high drive working German Shepherd. She's great. We do obedience, rally, nose work, and a lot of hiking. Her Achilles heel is excitement barking, really a high-pitched scream when I let the dogs outside. I can get a sit, stay at the door, but upon release I get the screaming. I'm using an e-collar which helps but only works if you use it. It's funny how that works. I know it's the other dogs that bring her up to that level. Is there any chance I could have a normal house exit with all 3 dogs? I would prefer not to separate them. Well, Kit Kat's mom, I'm going to tell you something. I kind of went through this with Maya. And sometimes what you need to do is separating obviously works, but I get it. You don't want to separate the dogs out, and that can be, it's a totally understandable thing for you. But you're going to, the more you zap her, the more you try to correct her, like the more I would tell Maya, sit, wait, the more wound up she got. This is just a natural genetic issue a lot of times with dogs. Hey, you guys. Because it's just in the dog. It's an insecurity. The dog wants to get out. The dog is leaking excitement. And a lot of these dogs kind of wash out in protection sports because it's really high. Now, if you're doing you're not doing agility. Okay, if you were doing agility with the dog, then that would be someplace where that would be getting up a lot higher. Things like obedience, rally, and nose work really does kind of get dogs to understand more obedience, and it's a lot better way for the dog to understand the structure that you want them to have in life. Give her some time, be a little patient with her, don't overstimulate her with corrections, because I don't think it's going to help you. I really don't. I mean, I went through it with Maya. She got some harsh corrections that didn't help. So learn from my experience that sometimes when you have a dog who's just super excited and leaky and gets really wound up, putting too much pressure on that dog is not the best thing you can do. Got a question? Ask me anything. Also, be sure to check out my online dog training, which is at robertcabral.com. The best dog training lessons available anywhere, I can promise you that.